to identify the area where we can be most effective. Whether it is advisable to send missions without the request or not. Again, this is a very delicate political problem. Some countries may wish it, many others may not wish it. If that is the case, the application of the scheme is very limited. We have a wide application because of this scheme. So again, this we need to think well after we overcome the accident. What was the best thing? What were the weakness? And it depends very much on the assessment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director General. Thank you very much. I would like to ask a question about your assessment of Japanese government's response, because before you left for Japan, when we asked similar questions, your answer had always been, it's too early to say, it's too early to comment. Now that you went there, you've seen things for your own eyes, you've talked to the relevant authorities. Right now, can you give some kind of initial assessment of their response so far? Have they been quick enough to respond in dealing with the nuclear accident? What's your comment on that? This is my first question.
In some areas, it is faster, and information coming from Japan is more extensive. For example, regarding the measurement, we receive the measurement related to many cities now. And as we have the liaison officer, we can clearly identify where we need information. But not all the information is available immediately. Sometimes, or in many cases, they themselves do not have information because of the failure of the instrument. There are lots of these areas. But generally speaking, the flow of information from Japan to the agency is better now, both in speed and quantity. Still, we need to further improve.
Yes. I maybe need to specify about their response immediately after the accident took place. Do you think they responded quick enough? Because there are accusations that the Japanese government or relevant authorities have not responded as fast as they could have. I don't know whether you have any personal assessment on this aspect.
Difficult to say. We established information incident and emergency center immediately after the earthquake, and we first established contact, and there were flow of information, but due to the confusion, the first flow was information was not abundant, and we strengthened our staff. They strengthened their staff, and gradually it improved. But I felt that more is needed, and I went to Japan, and there was a clear commitment from the top of the government, and it facilitated our work. And we are in a better situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it depends on the information. It depends on the area. My general impression is that we are in a better situation. But if we discuss the specific information in some areas, we still need a further improvement. And in some areas, we are in a better situation.
I'm Jonathan Tyrone with Bloomberg News. It's very clear that the Safety Convention addresses national obligations. However, as we've seen, this very much has international ramifications as people try to read and interpret the radionuclide data. That clearly goes across borders. So my question to you, Mr. Romano, is was there room for the IAEA to improve making an independent analysis without Japanese data by using, for example, satellite imagery, by using safeguard relevant load information and personal experience inside of those reactors within the agency, as well as a number of other things that the agency has subsequently done. So my question to you is, I mean, what are some of the immediate lessons learned? I know it's very early, but what are some of the lessons learned to improve the IAEA's emergency response next time?
I must say my very personal impression. My impression after going to Japan is that it is not the information itself. 100 milli seabelt is 100 milli seabelt, and it was transferred to us with some delay in translation and others. But what I felt is that it's difficult for us to understand the context. And for example, it may be irrelevant, but I have been working in the Japanese Foreign Ministry for some 35 years. And when I went to the Foreign Ministry, at 1 o'clock, it was dark because of the shortage of electricity. And my colleagues wanted to go to Fukushima, but they had to struggle to buy gasoline. That never happened in Japan in the past. There are all of these small things. And I was wondering here, why electricity cannot be recovered that easily? They are utilities, why they can do that? And then there I learned the place is full of debris. And removing debris, advancing 100 meters, removing debris under radioactivity is not easy. And these are the context. The question is recovery of electricity, and but it was not staying here. It's difficult to understand, and so we have the information, but I personally think understanding the context was not that easy, and that was one of the reasons I went there, and I encouraged the people at NISA come to here, and quite often good information and understanding can be achieved face-to-face contact or go to the site, and this was very useful. My visit to Japan, the positioning of experts or liaison officers in Japan were very helpful. And these are the things that we can improve in reality. But I may not answer your question, and this is not official answer of the IAEA, but this is what I felt in visiting Tokyo.
I think we have time for one more question, and then the DG has to go.
Fredrik Dahl from Reuters News Agency. You said earlier that you think that safety standards needs to be reassessed in the wake of this disaster. Is that an urgent task, do you think? And are you planning any initiatives in this regard?
We need to do it in a reasonable amount of time. We cannot relax, but we should not jump to the issue either. First, we need to understand what happened, and we need to assess the accident, the nature, the problems, and we need to learn the lessons. And then we need, maybe we start in parallel, but safety standard question should be addressed.
just to follow up, is it your view that these standards, agreed standards, should become obligatory for member states? Mandatory?
That is not something easy to happen.
It's a political issue too, right, sir?
It depends on the member state's intention, and I know already views are very different. We now have an accident, and how to assess it, and changing or reviewing the safety standards will improve it, or is it something different? Some technical issues that I don't know. So it is not like accident happened, let's change the standard and we'll be better off. That is not so simple. This is it depends on the intention of many countries. What I said today is that I am not showing the direction, and accident is not over, and post-accident activities is not the priority for today. But I flagged some areas, identified some areas where a member state may wish to consider. There may be other areas, and or some of the areas may be irrelevant. But this is Board of Governors meeting, and a lot of people like yourself are thinking, what's our next steps? And I try to identify some areas to encourage people think.
Thank you very much, everybody.